Welcome back here once again, everyone. I want to take this moment to talk about Dan Slott. Now, if you don't know who Dan Slott is, he's a comic book writer. He's written some issues for Spider-Man and She-Hulk and stuff like that. But he's not really well known for doing too much fantastic things when it comes to comic books. I mean, yes, he writes stuff and equal to the other, but he's more heavily known for being one of the writers who was one of the first people when Twitter became a thing to start attacking fans on Twitter. And just recently he had this whole big blowout. We were blocking everybody left and right on Twitter who didn't agree with him or what than the other. Now, he gets this thread here, right? This is what he's saying, right? This is what he used somebody to put this out there. This is what he's saying, yeah? Did you know in the MCU, She-Hulk gains her powers from the Hulk's blood in a different way? What's next? Will they make Natasha and Clint founding Avengers? Have Tony and Bruce build Ultron? Make Jane Foster an astrophysicist? When will the madness stop? Some of you are silly. And anybody who challenges Dan Slott on Twitter, anybody who points out that he's done something, he said something really stupid one or the other, he goes on a whole blocking spree. With a massive one just a few days ago. We were blocking everybody left, right, and center. I was gonna say, I think reasonable people can accept changes will be made when comics are brought to the big and small screen. The important part of Jen's origin is she gets her powers from Bruce's blood. You gotta make sure that it's comic book accurate without being one-to-one with the comics. And that gives way to this. Screen Rant had, of course, one of the shield sites had to come out and, try to make it seem like he was saying something really good. So let me go through this, and as I go through it, I want to take moments to explain to you why Dan Slott is a moron, and the things he's saying don't make any sense. She-Hulk comic book writer firmly shuts down MCU show accuracy criticism. Listen to it. Prolific Marvel Comics writer Dan Slott firmly shuts down criticism that Disney Plus She-Hulk Attorney at Law MCU show is not comics accurate. It's not. It's really not. It's one of the worst shows they've ever made. What? Let's see how far down his throat he could put his foot. She-Hulk comics writer Dan Slott firmly defends the new MCU adaptation, She-Hulk Attorney at Law, from criticism that it's unfaithful to the source material. Because it is. The Disney Plus show, which first premiered in August of last year, chronicles the life of lawyer Jennifer Walters, played by Tatiana Maslany, as she attempts to balance her career with her newfound superhero abilities. While the show was met with a positive response from critics, or the same critics who are bought and paid for, some fans took issue with its self-aware comedy and overall departure from the more typical MCU tone. She-Hulk Attorney at Law concluded its 9-episode season 1 back in October and is currently unclear what the future holds for Maslany's hero. Now, let me take a moment to touch on this. Started by saying that chronicles the life of lawyer Jennifer Walters as she attempts to balance her career with her newfound superhero abilities. First off, as what Dan Slott said, that they changed the way she got her powers. They didn't just change the way that Jennifer got her powers. They destroyed everything that could have made it good. Because in the original comics, She-Hulk got her powers from a blood transfusion from her cousin in order to save her life after she had gotten shot by some gangster who she's a lawyer. She was working with somebody to bring down this person, and they ended up shooting at her and she was dying, so he gave her a blood transfusion to save her life, and that's how it happened. They decided, no, that's a problem. We can't have a man saving a woman. So instead they were in some god awful car ride, got into an accident, she pulled him out of the car. Like she had to save him, but then like 2 drops of his blood get into her open wound, and bam, she suddenly starts developing, starts turning green up to turning into She-Hulk. That was it. No blood transfusion, no nothing. That's 2 drops of blood, and that was it. Right? That was the first thing. Secondly, she didn't even want to be a superhero. She spent several times over talking about how, downgraded everybody who was ever doing the role superheroes are all orphans and man babies. All kind of nonsense. The entire show was predicated around them, around everyone's hatred for men. That was it. You couldn't look at it without seeing it evidently clear that everyone in this show just had a hatred and a hard-on for hating men, and that was it. That was it. And as for balancing her career and all of this nonsense, there was no balancing of any kind of career. She had a career where she was working in the DA's office, and then pretty soon she started turning the character into some drunken slut who was banging like 3-4 guys before the show even over, and spent every time doing everything possible to just destroy anything that could make anything good about this character. Let's go on and hear what else he has to say. Although much of the criticism for the show revolved around its depiction of Charlie Cox's Daredevil, She-Hulk Attorney at Law also came under fire for what many perceived to be a departure from the Marvel source material. Now, yes, people were very upset about what they did to Daredevil. It turned them into a joke just as much as this show was. It turned them into a flipping joke, but that was not the only problem. I reviewed every episode of this show, and I can tell you, every episode just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And Daredevil only showed up on like episode 7 or something, and that was it. So you had Daredevil in episode 7, which still leaves you 8 other episodes where he wasn't in there, and each episode just kept getting worse and worse. Slott, the writer who penned more issues of the She-Hulk than anyone else, that doesn't necessarily mean that, anything is good about it. Yes, he penned more episodes of She-Hulk than anybody, so he should know better. In addition to a slew of other comics across Marvel and DC, defends the show from its particular critique. Check out 2 tweets from the prolific comic writer below. Let's check out these 2 tweets. Anyone saying the She-Hulk official TV show wasn't comic book accurate. I'm the guy who has written more issues of She-Hulk than anyone. I've read every single comic from every She-Hulk run, and I'm saying for the record, it is the most comic book accurate show in the MCU. Okay, now let me stop there, fam. I have not read every issue of She-Hulk. I haven't. I've not read every issue of She-Hulk. I said this before. Getting comics in Trinidad when I was young, it was very difficult. They didn't have comic shops and all this kind of thing. So you just have to get what you could get and what the other. But I do have knowledge of She-Hulk and of She-Hulk in the comics. And I could tell you, if he's coming out to say that show was comic book accurate, Dan Slott have to get his head checked. Because there's no way in hell you could ever associate that with anything. And you're coming out to say that, you've written more issues of She-Hulk than anyone. You're mostly known for doing covers and a little bit of thing here. They don't try and act like it's some record-breaking stuff. Come on. He goes on. People arguing the twerking scene in She-Hulk wouldn't have happened in the comics. It shouldn't have happened at all. It was done to show just how stupid this show was and how stupid everything about it could be. That's it. Brian had She-Hulk jumping rope in a bikini. I had her karaoke, dancing and partying so hard it was causing structural damage to Avengers Mansion. This is the hill they want to die on. Yeah, but it was done in conjunction with stories of what exactly was being told. This show was put together with a single intent to show their absolute disdain and hatred for all men. I mean, you actually had the writers of She-Hulk coming out and saying that they would sit around reading comments from the fans and laughing about how much they were trolling them and how it is they were doing everything wrong with this show and how people were waiting to be upset. And they were having a grand old time of it. They were enjoying destroying this show and making people pissed off. That's what they were doing. And when you come out to say that, Brian had She-Hulk jumping rope in a bikini, okay, you had a karaoke, dancing and partying, so it was causing structural damage to Avengers match. And then you have her going around. You have her at everyone around her treating all men like worthless pieces of scum. Everything that was being done wasn't even a legal drama, superhero drama, nothing about it made any kind of sense at all. And yes, we had Brian doing the whole fourth wall breaking thing in the comics, but again, as I say, it was done in such a way to fit what was going on in the story. This was just done to the lecture and listen. They were just doing stupidness, and then towards the end of the show, what happened? We found that everything that was happening was a waste of time because she jumped out of the show to go walk across Marvel Studios to go and talk to the writers and all of this. It was crap. That's all it was. In his stark departure from other MCU shows and movies, Maslany Walters often breaks the fourth wall to talk to the audience, which is in keeping with the comic book source material. And like I said, it did happen with Brian. Yes, it did that. When there was a point to it, the only point that they were doing with this fourth wall breaking in this show was just to edge it along and poke the bear to say, okay, we're doing this crap, enjoy it. This breaking of the fourth wall in She-Hulk law is used to great effect to call out toxic MCU fans. This is what I'm talking about. Toxic MCU fans. If somebody is saying, listen, this is not making any kind of sense, they are toxic. Because again, as I said, you had the writers and things. I'm going to continue with the writers proving that they were aware far in advance that Walters would ruffle some feathers. So you knew what you were making was going to piss people off. You knew it was garbage. And you were happy. On one occasion, Walters even jokes that featuring Wong in the series gives the show Twitter armor for a week, with many fans briefly setting their computers aside due to their love of Wong. No, people were upset at the way that you used Wong, at the way you used Abomination, at the way you used Daredevil, mostly Daredevil, at the way you use the entire show. So you have Dan Slott here trying to argue some point, because this is what he does. He gets on Twitter. Anybody who doesn't like him, he goes on a blocking spree and all kind of nonsense, trying to point out that this show is the most comic book accurate show ever. Is that really the hill Dan Slott wants to die on? Why not? Because he already set up himself to have protection from all these shields who come out and say whatever, and that anytime you don't like what people are saying, you're blocking them on Twitter. She-Hulk was a garbage show. Beyond garbage. Garbage would actually look better than this show. And you're coming out here to tell people that this was the most comic book accurate show ever, because you wrote more issues of it than anything. I think Dan Slott really and truly needs to go back and look at the work that he did, look at the work that others have done, look at She-Hulk in general, and take off his woke agenda glasses and focus on what it is people actually want, which is good, accurate storytelling. But you didn't do that. You didn't do that. The writers make crap, and you're out here trying to virtue signal and defend something that you know is not going to go anywhere. So let Dan Slott keep blocking people on Twitter and keep fighting up all he wants. We all know where this is going, because if you want any more proof, where's season 2 of She-Hulk? Anybody seen it? Anybody heard anything? It was so god-awful, we haven't heard anything about it. Will they bring it back for season 2? I don't know. But I can tell you as of right now, most other MCU shows get a green lit on the movie, whatever. But for phase 4, you haven't heard the majority of any of these shows coming back. Nothing you've heard about them. Especially when it comes to the TV series, you haven't heard anything about a season 2 for the vast majority of them, because they have all just been terrible. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, should they hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.